Welcome to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kick In with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. What a fun weekend this is.
Uncle Sam put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking.
You know, we have the opportunity to not just celebrate on the 4th of July weekend, but all year long celebrating America 250. How y'all doing this weekend?
Doing great, Mark. How about you, buddy?
Man, I'm loving this. This is such a fun weekend, such a fun time of the year. Heidi, how you feeling?
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Absolutely. We appreciate your loyalty to this country, and we appreciate the fact that we can be independent and do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, we appreciate the fact that we can talk on the airwaves about how we love our country.
That's right.
And are grateful to be in the land of the free because, you know, I know there's a lot of turmoil in this country and a lot of, you know, people talking about all sorts of stuff, but we're very grateful to live in a country where we have the ability to do that and to celebrate because we have a whole lot to celebrate living in this country. I mean, happy birthday, America.
250 years ago, our founders got together and said, hey, let's be rebels here and create something that's never been created before. And it stood the test of time. Mm-hmm. People can complain about this country all they want, but think about that. 250 years ago, our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence was written, and then our Constitution followed. And it is still being followed today. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Gerry, you were what? You were about 7 years old when they signed the
something.
I know, right?
Yeah,
oh my God,
that's right. That's exactly right.
Hey, you look pretty good for 250.
Thank you.
Or 257. But I was not always the strongest student when it came to like social studies and government growing up, and I wanted to learn more. And this is so backwards because I always say like Wikipedia is not a source and the internet, blah blah blah. So I've been watching some old TV shows like The West Wing, and I know it's fictionalized, but as I'm watching it, I've been Googling things because I want to learn more. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like seeing how the government actually functions and works and everything. And so
doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I've been pretty jazzed about it this year because I feel like I've gotten a better insight to everything after doing some deep dives and trying to learn more this past year.
And it's all about education. I mean, if you don't have education, you don't have, the tools you really need to plan.
How are you going to spend this incredible 4th of July weekend? How are you going to celebrate your independence?
Well, I'm going to celebrate my independence by heading over to Nashville and playing in an adult softball tournament because, I was kind of voluntold into my softball journey recently after not playing since 4th grade. And there's a tournament, and they were a little short-staffed on my husband's team. So I'm going to be playing up a league and hopefully having a little bit of fun there, too, and listening to some live music.
And I'm going to be going down to the St. Louis Arch Grounds for Celebrate St. Louis. It's going to be awesome because, I've spent years and years and years going out to Innsbruck or going back to my hometown in Garden Plain, Kansas, and celebrating the 4th of July with family and friends. But this year, for the first time in my life, I'm actually going to go down to the Arch and experience the drone show, the music. Miranda Lambert's going to be down there on Saturday night. And it's going to be awesome. So
I've actually never done that.
Yeah, I've never been down there.
I know. We've spent so much time. I mean, people around here usually either go to Lake of the Ozarks, Innsbruck, or, whatever they're going to do, or the Arch. I've gone to a rooftop and watched one of the nights, but I've never actually gone to the Arch, so I'm jealous.
Yeah, we're doing a rooftop on Friday night and then the Arch Grounds on Saturday.
What about you, Mark?
It's amazing. As we record this a couple of days ahead, we're getting prepared to celebrate Independence Weekend. And, we're very transparent on this show. I'm here in Atlanta. I work for the Atlanta Braves. And on Saturday night, we have a home game against the Mets. I think everybody's going to be on the Braves side that night. And
we certainly will be.
Oh, yeah.
And we are doing a big fireworks show on Saturday after the game. And traditionally, I think just like the Cardinals, y'all do, fireworks from time to time. And we do like Friday night fireworks or whatnot. And we do the same thing. And it's usually about 8 to 10 minutes. But in celebration of the 4th of July, it being a home game on America 250, the rumor is it's going to be about a 20-minute fireworks show. And I'm a grown man. Beautiful. I have seen fireworks dozens and hundreds of times in my life. But for some reason, whenever a big fireworks show happen, I turn into a kid again. And I'm just, ooh, ah, ooh. And I can't lie, I am super excited to see fireworks on Saturday night.
You know what I have to say? I'm really part of me is like actually very sad that I'm not going to be with my parents on the 4th of July this year, because one of my favorite parts of the 4th of July is not just seeing the fireworks, but watching my mom watch fireworks is amazing. I mean, she's like, same as you. I have videos of her like screaming and crying and stuff watching fireworks. And it's that for me is one of my favorite childhood memories, is mom's reaction to fireworks every year.
It's awesome. It is incredibly awesome.
I love that. So excited. I love that. Well, let's kind of start beginning that conversation of how you help the families you serve and the community as well. Because yes, we're celebrating America 250. We're celebrating our independence. But Heidi, Ricken, Provost, Gerry, Ricken, you help people on a daily basis at Ricken Financial find their financial independence. How would you define that?
It all starts with being free to choose and do what you want in retirement. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you have to have a plan. You just can't go off in the woods and hopefully you'll find a trail. But what you want is a plan. And how's that plan work? And how can you adjust that plan as things do change in your retirement life?
So, yeah, I mean, I think you're completely right. You have the ability to do whatever it is you want to do with your time when you're in retirement, if you have the financial plan that works towards that. But if you just retire with money, that's great. At least you saved something. But if you don't have a plan for how you're going to have the income streams come in to cover everything that you need and you want, to spend in retirement, and when you're on like the threshold of retirement within 10 years of the day that you retire, or in the first 10 years of retirement, ensuring that your investments match your market risk is huge. It's a huge key to being able to be financially free as well. And then having the right healthcare coverage and long-term care coverage, and ensuring that, your estate's not going to go through probate in the future. But I think one of the most important facets you can actually be in control of, but we feel like we're so far out of control of, is the tax planning piece when it comes to your retirement, because so many of us don't understand taxes and we don't think that there's a way that we can control how much we have to pay in tax.
That's such a false statement.
It is. If you use some strategy, you can actually create a more tax efficient retirement. And it gives you the independence to do so much more when you get to put more money in your pocket and less in the IRS's pocket for the rest of your life and when you're no longer with us.
And, when you think about taxation affects really everything. I mean, Heidi just talked about an income plan. Wouldn't it be nice to have tax-free income as opposed to taxable income? Mm-hmm. What if you needed long-term care help in the future? Wouldn't it be nice to use tax-free dollars as opposed to taxable dollars to cover those expenses? Because if you use taxable dollars, think about that. You're going to have to take more money out of your accounts to cover those expenses if you have to pay tax first. And by doing so, you're really not focusing on the right thing. You're not focusing on what really matters. What really matters is putting money in your pocket, not money in the IRS's pocket. So tax strategies going forward, reducing the taxation in retirement is really what you need to focus on, because that tax risk affects every other risk in retirement.
And here's the deal. You probably have no idea where to begin, because you're not alone. If you don't do this every single day, how on earth are you supposed to know where to begin and how to come up with a tax strategy?
Or if you're not working with someone who does this every day.
Of course. So if you want to begin your journey with your tax strategy, give us a call or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211 and let us know what you're looking for. If you want to begin the journey to financial freedom, where you just get to sit back and relax and enjoy what you want to do with your time, because we live in this free country where you get to choose what you do with your time in retirement. What a beautiful thing if you have the plan in place so that you do just get to simply enjoy retirement. Reach out to us. We're going to put together a complimentary plan for you to see how you can weather the storms for the next 30, 40, 50 years of retirement. But it all has to start with a conversation. So give us a buzz or shoot us a text, 314-207-6211, or head over to rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN financial.com, and let's chat.
Heidi said complimentary, and that truly is complimentary. Yeah. We will want you to actually invest your time, not your dollars, in this planning.
Talking about finding your financial independence this weekend. And, Heidi, I heard somebody say once, and we were talking taxes a couple of minutes ago, that it is a privilege to pay taxes. And I like that I get the opportunity to pay taxes. And I wanted to punch them in the neck because I get exhausted by our tax code. But do you agree with that it is a privilege to pay taxes?
I do. I believe it's a privilege to have the opportunity to pay our tax and to live in a country where we are free. And someone has to pay tax for our country to revolve and work, and for us to be able to have programs like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And
for us to be able to drive down the interstate highway system.
I mean, yeah, there are so many things that we are provided for the taxes we pay. And it is a privilege to pay taxes in America, because think about what the taxes would look like if we didn't live in America and we lived in some of the other countries where you're paying 70+% in taxes.
You can just ask our cousin Wolfgang about that one in Germany.
No kidding.
He's amazed by our tax structure here.
But it's also a privilege that we get to utilize our tax structure and our tax code to our advantage, so that, yes, you pay your fair share. And I do believe in everyone paying our fair share of taxes, but not setting yourself up to pay something beyond that by utilizing the tax code effectively. Because, yes, it is a privilege to have earned income that we have to pay tax on. But it's even more of a privilege if we have income coming in that might be free of taxation.
And that is true. I mean, it is a privilege to have the knowledge and the ability to design your financial plan so that you can reduce taxes in the future. So yes, it's a privilege to pay tax, but it's also a privilege to understand what the tax code can do for you so that you can retire tax-free someday, retire with less taxation, and put more of that money to work for you and your family than for the government programs that the IRS, collects every year and Congress distributes to other people. So why not distribute that money to yourselves?
And here's the deal. At every stage of your life, taxes can feel like a burden. Okay.
Yes.
But when you're working and you have earned income coming in and we see how much we're paying in tax, that can be tough. But when you're in retirement and you're on a fixed income and you're now in control of how much money is coming in and where it's coming in from, when you have to pay the tax there, it can feel even more painful. So without a plan, I can understand why some people might not feel like it's a privilege to pay their tax bill each year. But if you need a plan for how you're going to pay that and what you want it to be structured like and how you want it to look and what you don't want to pay beyond, give us a buzz or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211, and let's meet and start the tax planning so that it does feel like a privilege and not like a duty that you have to do, and that's going to feel painful in retirement.
Heidi, how do you find that people think when I retire, well, the IRS, they're going to retire with me? That's a big myth and misconception, correct?
That it is. And there's also still quite a few people that believe that Social Security is not taxed anymore, but that's not the case either. So there are a lot of common misconceptions when it comes to taxation. And I also feel like people just don't understand the tax code from the get-go or how the income tax code is structured. A lot of people think when they're getting a refund that it's money that the government's paying them and it's just this beautiful thing. It's money they've been hanging on to that they're paying back to you.
That's why it's called a refund. Mm-hmm. A refund is something that you paid into and you're receiving it back.
Without interest.
Yes.
So if you don't understand the tax code or the tax structure of our country, you are not alone. Most people do not. And if you want to have a super in-depth conversation where we get real tax nerdy and we share everything with you, we are here for that. If you'd rather have some high-level conversation where we kind of give you the basic knowledge that you need to understand it, we're here for that too. But if you don't understand any facet of taxation, it can be a huge worry for you and a huge stressor. And your retirement's not going to feel like this beautiful financial independence that you have if you have no idea how you're going to foot the tax bill every single year.
And I understand why people are confused about taxation, because the other day on my way to work, I heard political advertisement for someone who's running for Congress, an incumbent, and the statement was made that this person helped eliminate tax on Social Security. And I about stopped the car and made a phone call because that did not happen.
No.
We did not do that. We raised some deductions so that most people don't pay taxes on Social Security, but we did not eliminate taxes on Social Security. So I was just confused by that we would actually politicize that and broadcast that over the airwaves.
Okay, well, let's take 1 second here and broadcast some facts. Okay. Social Security is a tax that you pay when you're working. When you retire first of all, the day you retire and the day you start your Social Security retirement income do not have to go hand in hand.
And they probably shouldn't, by the way.
But when you retire and then the day that you begin your Social Security retirement benefits, when you receive Social Security payments, they are taxable. They're either going to be taxed at the rate of 0% of your benefits becoming taxable to you if you fall within a guideline, 50% of the benefits becoming taxable to you, or 85% of those benefits becoming taxable to you on your 1040. Then you're going to pay the tax on them. There's a lot of misconceptions nowadays. The taxation did not go away. There are additional deductions that might be able to offset some of that tax, but you're still going to pay tax on Social Security. And if you want to know how much tax you have to pay on your Social Security or how to plan for that, give us a buzz or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211. And let's have the conversation, because you deserve to understand this. And especially, to be honest, I don't think a lot of our politicians even understand that did not go away, because most people have not sat back and read the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and all of the different changes it's making to our tax code, nor do they understand it. So since you don't know what you don't know, our own politicians don't know what they don't know, let's have a conversation and put it in real world English for you so that you can understand it and make some informed decisions in retirement.
There was a survey that revealed that 65% of American adults feel like that we as a country, America, we are going in the wrong direction financially. When you have these conversations with adults and you're putting a plan together, how do you help eliminate some of those fears that we're going in the wrong direction? Or how do you take the emotions out of financial plannings when surveys like this are right in our face?
Well, my mom always told me that you cannot worry about that which you cannot control.
Yep.
So, don't worry about that which you cannot control. We cannot control what Congress does and how Congress spends, but what we can control is how we spend, how we structure our affairs, and especially on the tax side. We talk a lot about taxes because taxes need to be talked about. They need to be understood. They need to be focused on so that you can do the appropriate planning that is in your best interest, in your family's best interest. So to alleviate that fear that, yes, most people do think we're going in the wrong direction because we're overspending. We've been overspending for years and years and years and years in this country. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, people spend. In Congress, when they get there, they have an open checkbook, and it's your checkbook, folks. It's not theirs. They're spending your money, the taxpayers' money. And when you look at the federal budget, okay, you have money coming in, which is taxation. You have money going out, which is congressional spending. Well, when the spending goes out faster than it comes in, you create debt. It's just the same way that a family, if you're overspending, you roll up credit card debt. You may have a home equity line you're drawing on. You're creating debt because what you're doing is you're overspending. So what we want to do is make sure that you're spending within your appropriate limits and also spending tax-free dollars if we can make that happen. Because if you're spending taxable dollars, you need to spend a whole lot more dollars to net what you need to spend than if you're designing your plan so that you take advantage of the tax code, which is written in your favor. Folks, the tax code is written in your favor. Take advantage of that. And the way you do that is just give us a call. give us a call or text us at 314-207-6211, and we will take it from there. We'll just have that conversation and let you know what you can do and what you can control and how you can alleviate some of that fear you may have.
And I can understand why you might be fearful about all of this, especially if you don't feel in control of your own finances, because sometimes when we take a step back and we look at our country and the financial picture, I mean, if you go to usdebtclock.org, don't, because you'll never sleep again. But, when you look at that, it's scary. And I can understand how that would cause a lot of financial trepidation for you, knowing that that's what our country is spending like. But since you can't be in control of your own plan, having that full service plan together that can weather the storms for you and your family financially, you're probably going to stress a little bit less about our country's spend and everything else when you feel more in control. So let's get you in control of that money. Give us a buzz or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211 or head over to rickenfinancial.com.
On this Independence Day weekend, Ricken Financial, they have a proclamation to offer you the opportunity to live your best life to and through retirement with the Purpose approach. Our founding father, Gerry Ricken, defined the Purpose approach and how it can help adults reach their retirement goals.
Mark, while you're working, we hope that you have a purpose in life. And that purpose in life is to make an impact on your company, on your clients, on your customers, on the world in general. And when you retire, 8 to 10 hours of your day, each day for 5 days of the week, goes away. So what are you going to fill that void with? What's your purpose going to be in retirement? That's one of the questions we ask when people come to us. Heidi and I just sit down and we say, okay, let's talk about this. Before you retire, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? That's our first question we ask. And that's what's your purpose going to be in retirement? What's going to feed your soul the rest of your life, these next 30, 40, beyond years? So we just want you to focus on that, because if you don't, you may struggle when you retire. You may struggle with, what am I going to do now? There are only so many honey-do list projects that you can work on. Maybe in 3 months you'll be done, or maybe if you're like me, you start one and then you stop one and you start one and you stop one, and then you finally finish them because there's a squirrel running and you see that, but you get distracted. But you get back to those and maybe you'll finish those in 3 to 6 months. What are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
What is going to feed your soul? Are you going to maybe do some volunteering? Are you going to spend more time with your family? You could do some traveling. Whatever it is, we want to know what that is, because in order to build the overall purpose approach, which is our retirement plan that we offer complimentary to you, we need to know what the starting point is. So how are you going to spend your time? If you're going to spend your time traveling, what's your income plan for that? What we do is we design an income plan for you. Income plan means you had a paycheck your entire career, okay? Where's the money going to come from to cover your expenses? What are your expenses? Do you have big ins and outs? How often are you going to replace your car? Are you going to travel more? Or do you have weddings that are coming up? What are your big ins and outs? Do you have inheritances coming up? We analyze everything on an in and out basis. Then we decide, okay, how can you cover those expenses? What's the best way to file for Social Security for you and your spouse if you're married? And that has a different answer for everyone, because a lot of people just say, okay, on Friday, I'm walking out of work, and on Monday, I'm collecting my Social Security check. Those dates do not need to go together, and they probably shouldn't go together for a lot of people, because you're missing out on a lot of money. You may be leaving money on the table. So we need to have that discussion. And by the way, when we have that discussion, it starts with a phone call, 314, or a text, basically, 314-207-6211 is how you get a hold of us, 314-207-6211. You can just text Purpose Approach. You can just text hi to us. We'll respond to that, okay? So the next thing we look at is, how are you investing and how do you want to invest? What does your gut tell you and what does your mind tell you on what your risk tolerance is? We go through a series of questions we ask you, penetrating questions, and we want to make sure that if you're a couple, you're on the same page. So we want to get to a happy medium. How do you want to be investing? Then we look at your investments. How are you investing? And we may need to make some tweaks there. Okay. Then we look at how you're going to cover healthcare. Are you 65? What kind of Medicare plan or do you want? If you're before 65, what kind of opportunity do you have to cover your health care? What happens later in life if you need long-term care? And most of us will need long-term care. What happens there? How do you cover that? Can you cover that with tax-free income? Which leads me into another thing. What about taxes? Taxes overlays this entire purpose approach. We take taxes into consideration in everything we do because taxes will be the largest expenditure in the rest of your life. And if we can reduce those, and by the way, we believe that we can, we just need to look at your numbers and let you know what's available out there. Why not reduce those if we can reduce those? Then we look at legacy planning. What happens when you're gone? How do you want your structure? How do you want your family to inherit things? Do you want it to pay taxes and have the IRS as one of your biggest beneficiaries? Or do you want your family to be one of your biggest beneficiaries? What about life insurance? Do you need it for end of life? Do you need it for death benefit? Or do you need it for long or living benefits like long-term care? Did you know that you can spend down your death benefit on certain policies and cover long-term care tax-free in doing so? Those are the kinds of things that are all involved in the purpose approach. And there's much more to it than that. So to get started, and this is all complimentary. We do this on a complimentary basis. And we say complimentary, we truly do mean complimentary.
And since you don't know what you don't know, here's the thing. This sounds like a whole lot. And it is a whole lot that we go through together. But here's what the experience is going to feel like for you. You're going to reach out to us, whether it be a text or a call or an email or, head over to our website, send a carrier pigeon, however you want to reach out to us, reach out. We're going to give you a call. We're going to talk through a couple things with you, set some time on our calendar. And here's what we need out of you. The first time you come meet us, our office is on Ballas in between Olive and Ladue. So we're just in Creve Coeur, right by the Creve Coeur post office. When you come by and you meet with us, we're going to sit down and we're going to go through a workbook together called the Purpose Approach Workbook. We're going to have you fill it out before you come meet with us. Gives us some basic information about you. What are your goals, your wishes, your dreams? What's your purpose going to be in retirement? And then we're going to go through all the numbers together. You're going to bring statements for all the accounts that you have right now. And you're going to bring in a copy of your last 2 years, if not just the last year tax return, so we can kind of get a good idea of where you are right now. When we do that, we're going to ask a whole lot of questions to ensure we understand all of your goals, desires, dreams, and all of the finances behind that as well. And the second time we get together, we're going to show you, all right, here's what everything looks like if you don't make any changes. And if you need to make changes, the numbers will lead us in the direction for here's what we would suggest you make the changes for in your world. And when you decide whether we're the right fit or not, what we do is we'll show you exactly what changes we think could help implement in your future so that you have a stronger financial picture of your retirement. And it's entirely up to you whether you move forward with us or not. And you'll have on a piece of paper how much that would cost to implement all of our planning and everything. And when we implement plans, that means we're going to help you take care of all of your income needs, your investment needs, your tax needs, your healthcare needs, your life insurance needs, your estate and legacy planning needs. And by doing all of that, we'll be the active money managers for what you have right now so that we can take care of the whole holistic picture for you. So, that's just a little bit diving in, peeling back the curtain a little bit about what your experience will feel like. And if that's something you want to walk through, maybe you've been working with someone forever, but you're missing a piece of this, or you want to make sure that, you get a second opinion and that you're okay. Or maybe you've been DIYing it and it just feels like a lot. You want to ensure that you have the right plan moving into retirement. Whatever stage you're in, we're here to help. Give us a buzz or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211 so we can get started.
We talk about a lot this weekend about financial independence, and you help adults find the freedom of time in retirement, time to do what feeds your soul. That initial consultation, I'm a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit anxious, never taken this step before. But talk to me about time. How much time should I plan to sit with you, Heidi, to sit with you, Gerry, to meet the team, to begin this conversation at Ricken Financial? How much time should I bank on?
Well, the first conversation will be about an hour. We allocate an hour because beyond that, people's eyes glaze over and so will mine. So
that's fair. That's fair.
So it's really an hour. And if you can send the information to us ahead of time, we'll be more prepared and we can just discuss things and really find out what your hot buttons are. What's bothering you? What are your concerns? What do you want to do? What do you want to, you've worked hard for your money your entire working career. Now it's time for your money to work for you. Yep. And how can we best have that money work for you for the rest of your life? So that's really what we do is we start with that 1 hour consultation. Then we'll move into the second appointment. The second appointment may be to the point where we may know how to structure things at that point. Okay. And we'll give you some ideas and that will be another hour. And it all depends upon how much information you can absorb and how many questions you have. It may lead into another conversation, but it's all how you want things to happen. I mean, what we're trying to do is make sure that you understand where you are, where you want to be, and where you can be, and how we can get you there.
That's right.
So those are really the steps that we take. And it may be a couple of hours and maybe 2-3 hours of just intense conversations before we get there.
We talked a little bit earlier about how you're planning on spending your Independence Day and how you're celebrating, but let's go backwards a little bit. What are some of your best memories of the 4th of July?
Growing up, my mom's parents had a chalet at Innsbruck. And some of my favorite memories with my cousins growing up are heading over to Innsbruck and sitting and watching the fireworks and just spending the time together, but also actually celebrating America. It was really such a cool environment. The music, the scenery, the people watching. I loved the fireworks shows at Innsbruck growing up. How about you, Dad?
Well, growing up, we used to do some things that we probably shouldn't have done, like bottle rocket wars and that kind of thing when we were young kids and stupid.
Roman candle war, that's a legit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Boys.
So yeah, that's what 100%. We did. But, it was always around harvest time, and I grew up in the heartland of Kansas where wheat harvest really revolved around the 4th of July. This year, they actually got done a lot earlier than the 4th of July, but you'd finish harvest and you'd take the last load of wheat to the elevator and then just party with your friends and there was always a fireworks display in our hometown. And that was really, those are great memories. And then, as later on in life, you had a few Budweisers, or Coors Light, depending upon your flavor, and partied with your friends in high school, college. And back then, the drinking age in Kansas was 18, so I wasn't doing anything inappropriate. But
like his disclaimer there.
Inappropriate or illegal? There's a big difference between the two.
Okay, well, point well taken.
That's for our other podcast, Kicking with the Rickens After Dark. We start talking about the inappropriate stuff, too.
That's right. So, but then, our hometown became really a hub in South Central Kansas for fireworks and for the 4th of July celebrations. And it was just remarkable. And it is today. There are about 800 people who live in Garden Plain, Kansas, but there are maybe tens of thousands that show up for the 4th of July. It's really, truly an amazing little piece of America that you should experience once in your lifetime.
I agree with that. A couple of years ago, we went there for 4th of July while we were also cleaning out Grandpa's shop after we lost him, and did that as a family. But we got to go watch the parade down Main Street. Awesome. So cool. I mean, when you're there were like hundreds of people on their vintage tractors going up and down. And it was just so cool to take it all in, including a flyover, which is also equally really cool.
Yep.
But yeah, it's fun seeing how, when we know how simple life can be around there, seeing so many people come in and flood the area and just celebrate together. So cool. And then I own my grandparents' house in Garden Plain, Kansas, and rent it out to some of my family. And some of my favorite memories were sitting in the front yard of Grandma and Grandpa's house and watching the fireworks directly across the street and just taking it all in. And I think it's so cool that our family gets to continue that tradition there too.
It's all about creating those memories. We did the same thing in our neighborhood when COVID hit. A bunch of kids in the neighborhood, so a bunch of the dads got together and just went and got some fireworks, and we had our own little fireworks show. Well, that has now grown into a 3 neighborhood party where we have probably close to 150, 200 people, neighbors we've never even met that know we have this big fireworks show. I mean, we have, we're very safe about it. We have fire extinguishers. We have 2 different lines, and we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on fireworks, and the kids talk about it all year. Now, that's what we normally do. Now, this year, I'll be watching a little baseball as the Braves take on the Mets, so I'm excited about spending my 4th of July there. But I wanted you to hear this clip from financial author Patrick Kelly. As we're talking about making memories, for a lot of people, that will include going to a baseball game. But for what you do, it's not always about hitting a grand slam in retirement planning. Sometimes it's the singles and doubles that can get you there.
I think people feel like they need to hit home runs or grand slams to win this retirement game, and it's not true. All they need to do is hit singles and doubles over and over and over again, getting on base over and over and over again, and never taking a loss. I mean, think about it. We're using the baseball analogy a little further. If you could hit a single every single time and never strike out, you're going to win that game.
So from your perspective, the singles and the doubles and retirement strategies, what do those look like?
For me personally, I'm playing softball now for the first time since 4th grade, and I don't want to strike out, so I'll stand there and take the walk and get on base, because that's all that matters is getting on base. But,
as long as you have people on base, or getting on base, that's the main thing, Mark. It is singles and doubles. And, my absolute favorite play in all of baseball is a triple.
Yeah.
Because a stand-up triple, because it's just very exciting, or an inside the Parker. But we can't all be like Fernando Tatis Sr. He was a Cardinal, and we're all Cardinals fans here. Even though we're talking to a Braves person right now with Mark Owens as our co-host. But
some of you may not know, but there was an insider nickname for Fernando Tatis Sr.
Oh, Freddie. My
Grammy called him Freddie. No one else did. But in our family, we talk about Freddie, and we loved Mr. Fernando Tatis.
Like he's a close personal friend.
April 23rd, 1999, I'm setting the stage here. April 23rd, 1999, Cardinals were playing in Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers. And Tatis was up. There were 3 men on. And he hit a home run. So he hit a grand slam. Then we kept hitting those singles, hitting those doubles. And Tatis got up in that same inning with the bases loaded. He hit a grand slam. He hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning. That's really unheard of. Hasn't happened before or since. And unfortunately, he hit it off the same pitcher. Chan-Ho Park was still in the game, and he gave up 2 grand slams in 1 inning. So that was a distinction that he'll carry with the rest of his career. But the point is, you have to have people on base so that when you do hit the occasional home run, that you're going to score. But the way you score in retirement planning is not going for the fences. It isn't hitting those home runs. It isn't hitting those grand slams, because a lot of people chase returns.
Yeah.
They think retirement planning is all about the investments. No, folks, it's a lot more than that. It goes through everything that you need to really focus on in retirement planning. But when you do focus on your investments, you need to invest the way your risk tolerance says you need to invest. You don't just go for the grand slam. You don't try to hit the home run. You don't say, oh my gosh, I'm going to run SpaceX up and I'm going to be a billionaire after the IPO goes. And then what happens? Well, you don't know what happens in the future. If we knew what happened in the future, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's true.
Yeah, because here's the deal. If all of us could time the market, none of us would have a job. We would just be sitting there timing the market at home. What you're saying too, Dad, is if you're trying to hit a grand slam every step of the way, you're probably letting emotion lead your decisions when it comes to your finances, or you're letting your ego lead. And at the end of the day, if you can match your risk tolerance and get a favorable interest rate that stays ahead of inflation, but maybe isn't making the 60% people think they're going to make with the SpaceX IPO, but it's making like a solid 6, 7, 8% on an annualized basis, you're in great shape. And you can weather storms. You can take a portion of your portfolio and try to hit a grand slam there. But what you need to do is ensure you have the right infrastructure in place. You're choosing the correct assets from the get-go. You're ensuring that you're matching your market risk. And you're probably opening your horizons to more than you were using when you were in that accumulation phase getting to retirement, because you're in a different phase of life in retirement than you were in your working years. You need to be invested in different tools in retirement than you were in your working years too. You may not know where to begin, or you may think you have a good idea of where to begin, but you want to work through it together. Give us a buzz or shoot us a text at 314-207-6211-6211, and let's see where you are now. And if you can weather that storm, if you're setting yourself up for the grand slams or the big strikeouts, or if you're going to hit some singles and doubles and make everything work in retirement.
Well, Heidi Ricken Provost, Gerry Ricken.
Uncle Sam put your name at the top of his list and a statue.
We are truly lucky and blessed. Yes, we may have our flaws in this country, but just the freedom to spend time every weekend with both of you, helping adults achieve their hopes and dreams and desires in retirement. And I hope it's not lost on you that what you provide is truly appreciated across this community. And it's just the opportunity to live your best life and find that financial independence. So with that being said, thank you as always. Thank you for the education and the information. We are back next weekend. But before we get out of here, Gerry, Heidi, take us home.
Every day is a holiday.
Life is short, laugh hard, and happy 4th of
Independence
July.
Day. Oh.
My red, white, and blue.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.